This week we had the announcement that, please God, we will be returning to shul in the coming week. We will be able to open up our synagogue once again for services, obviously in a restricted and in a safe way, but please God, we will be able to actually go back and begin to daven with a minyan once more within our shul. And I spent time thinking about it this week. And then something happened just last night, actually. It's been spent time reading about it today, which helped me to really put into context how meaningful it is that we're able to go back into shul. So last night there was a decision by the Supreme Court of America, the Supreme Court of the USA, which effectively overturned the governor of New York's restrictions on places of worship. And the entire court case seemed to hinge on a very, very interesting issue, which was how essential do we view places of worship? So everybody agrees that we have to be safe and we have to try and have some restrictions in life. But the governor of New York, whereas he had stated explicitly that certain areas were considered to be essential, certain businesses, alcohol shops that would sell alcohol were considered to be essential, shops to do with travel, to do with selling tools, all of that was considered to be essential. He said that places of religion were not considered to be essential. So I'm not going to get into the details of whether that's a good legal argument or not. As I said, the Supreme Court seems to have ruled that it is a good legal argument, that they are at least as essential as all of those other places. But it did get me thinking about our view and about what they mean to us. So of course this week in Shabbat Vayetze we read about Yaakov. Yaakov, Jacob, our forefather, is on the run and he leaves his parents' home at the very end of last week's parasha, and now he ends up with his uncle Lavan. But while he is on the way there, he has a very, very famous dream. On his journey, he stops for the night in a place, seemingly a random place, and he has a dream about angels going up a ladder and angels coming down the ladder. Lots of discussions about what exactly that means, what is the symbolism of that dream. And when he wakes up in the morning, he realizes that place is actually the Temple Mount, what will become the Temple Mount, Har HaMoriah. But that dream, as I said, is a dream that seems to center around angels who are there to accompany him on his journey towards his uncle's house. But there's a less famous dream that he has later on in the parasha. And that is that when he's in the house of Lavan, he has a dream about sheep. He has a dream about sheep, about speckled and striped and all these sorts of things. And that seems to be a dream that's totally different and not one that's discussed much. But Rav Menachem ben Zion Sachs points out a fascinating thing, which is that our dreams, in many ways, reflect our mood, reflect our feeling, reflect what is going on inside of us. And as Yaakov is still in the land of Israel, as Yaakov is on what will become the Temple Mount, as he is on his way out of his parents' house, still full of the lessons that he had learnt there, he has a dream about angels. He has a dream that is focused on spirituality, a dream that is focused on something that is beyond this world that we live in. But the longer he spends with Lavan, the amount of time that he spends focusing on all of the mundane things that Lavan has to talk about, he ultimately ends up dreaming about sheep, about the simple things, about the mundane things in which he is so regularly involved in. The message seems to be that if we want spirituality, if we want meaning to be key to our lives, to be things that we dream of, we need to make them important to us. We need to make them central in our lives. We need to make them a part of what we do and a part of who we are. In other words, we need to view them as essential. Now, as we go back to shul, some of us will be able to come back and some of us won't. Some of us will feel comfortable and some of us won't. But I think what is key, or what I take away from this most recent Supreme Court decision, which actually the governor himself has said is not so important in practical terms. And maybe it isn't. Maybe it's not about the practicality of whether we're in shul or we're not in shul. But I think what is really key is whether we view it as essential, as whether we view it as central, as whether we view it something that's important to us or not. Whether we're more focused on travel or other things, or doing our laundry, which was another example that was quoted in the court case, or are we more focused on building a relationship with our community and building a relationship with the Almighty? For a number of years now, we are all becoming increasingly aware that the younger generation does not seem to view religion in quite the same way. Famously, the Pew study just a few years ago found that in America today, nearly 50% of people say that religion is not at all important to them. While educating the next generation remains one of the most difficult challenges that we face, I think that this is a crucial step. Showing ourselves what's important to us, showing ourselves that religion is essential, that our shul is essential, that it means so much to us, is a tremendous step in the right direction. A step that can show our children and grandchildren how important it is to us and how special and meaningful and real it can be in their lives too. When Yaakov returns on his way back to Israel with his family, with now his wives and his children, in fact the very end of the parasha closes with him encountering angels once more. So he was able to build himself back up to it, to return again to that spirituality, to return again to that focus. I don't think he changed in himself, but it was a question of focus. It was a question of what becomes meaningful, what is important. In other words, what is truly essential. Shabbat Shalom.